Hi guys, welcome to Maya's TV. My name is Georgia, and today we are going to look at some grammar. So, how can you talk about the past in English? The obvious answer is, of course, past simple. But there are two other forms that are very important to know and use. Used to and would. What are these and how do I use them? Let's get into it and start with the meaning by looking at an example. I used to live in New York. I also used to have short hair. I'll give you a moment just to look at the example. Write it down if you need to. So, used to is used when talking about actions in the past that have finished. How is it different from past simple? Well, when we use used to, I'm also saying that the action no longer happens. It isn't true in the present. This meaning is intrinsic to this tense. When I say, I used to live in New York, you immediately know that I don't live there anymore. Look at my hair. It's clearly long, but it used to be short. All right, got that? If you like what you've seen so far, make sure to leave it in the comments. I used to smoke cigarettes. If my parents are watching, no, I didn't. You automatically know that I quit. But this isn't only used when talking about ourselves. Let's look at these examples. Horses used to be the main means of transport for people. Or, gladiators used to fight in the Colosseum. I used to live in New York. I think I've said that already. I would see my friends all the time, and I would always take the subway. Wait, would? Why are we saying would? Isn't that a conditional? Would is used when describing an action that happened regularly in the past. But how is it different from used to? Let's talk about it. Used to, we said, is for an extended past state. Remember, a state is something that is constant. So when we use used to, I'm talking about something that was in the past. I used to live in New York. I used to have a cat. I used to hate going to the doctor. All of those things were true, but now they're not. Would is a little different. It is not used for extended states, but rather for repeated actions which are temporary and related to a particular context. So, I used to live in New York and I would get dinner with my friends every Friday. Got it? Let's take a look at the structure now. Get excited because this construction is not difficult. All right? Used to plus infinitive, didn't used to, and infinitive, easy. The verb in the past is used to. Think of it as a kind of auxiliary, and the verb itself relaxes. Used to live, used to have. It does not do any work and remains in the infinitive. Same thing with would, also followed by the infinitive. We all know that the number one rule in English is that, and this is the only rule that never has an exception, is modal verbs are always followed by what? That's right, the bare infinitive. Now, remember how I said that would could only be used to describe repeated actions and not states? Well, would cannot be used with stative verbs for this very reason. Here are some examples of stative verbs. Be, like, love, hate, have. I can't say, I would love Christmas, because that is not a repeated activity. It is the state of being. Now, think you've got it? I sure hope so, because it's time to do a mini test. Let's see if we're getting the hang of these tenses. I'll give you some examples, and you let me know if they're correct or incorrect. Ready? When I was in high school, I used to go to Maria's house after school to hang out since she lived nearby. correct? Yeah, this is absolutely correct. After school, we habitually went to Maria's house. But I am no longer in high school. I wish I was. So I don't do this anymore. Therefore, I used to. What about this one? When I was 13, I would have a pet hamster. Think about it. Remember the rules I told you. Correct or incorrect? No, this one is incorrect. Have is a stative verb for possession, so we cannot use it with would. Doesn't it also sound a little strange? When you use a stative verb with would, it automatically sounds like a hypothetical, right? I would have a hamster if. Okay, let's try this one. Before I got my driver's license, I would take the bus to school. What do you think? Hey, it's correct. I'm talking nostalgically about something that happened a lot in the past. Okay, now I think it's time to see some real life examples.
Wow, it's so nice to be back at the fair.
Oh my God, I love coming to the fair. I used to come here all the time when I was a kid.
Did you?
Yeah, did
Me
you?
too. I would often go with my parents. We would often come here to this exact same town.
I would come here as well because they have the best cotton candy in the world.
Yeah, it's fantastic. But I also used to do sort of a lot of traveling to a lot of fairs around the country as a kid.
Well, I used to be really scared of roller coasters, but now I'm getting a bit better with them.
Just takes time. Practice.
I know. So, there you have it. When we're talking about an extended past state, something that was always true in the past but isn't anymore, we use used to. When we want to emphasize the nostalgia of a non-stative action that was true in the past, we use would. Let me know if you guys have any questions. Please leave them in the comments, as well as your own examples. Please like and subscribe, and don't forget to click that bell icon so you get notified every time we post a video. Thanks for joining me, guys. Have a good one.